in today's video, we are doing this cognitive functions test from this page. This is not sponsored, so without further introduction, let's start. Alright, before you begin, some useful instructions. Alright, take your time to think about your answers. The questions are designed to make you think about the way your mind acts in everyday situations. The only way to answer with yes is to reflect deeply. Take your time to figure out the answer that best applies to you. Alright? Don't lie to yourself. This is the most important step. Answer honestly without trying to exploit results. A PSA test has no significance for your personality research. This test is tested in sliders in order to keep your answers balanced and to avoid biases of some kind. Review your selection from the beginning once you have answered all 80 questions. This is going to take a while. If you have trouble answering a question because you find yourself in the middle, it's fine to leave the slider there. Both sides of a question don't necessarily go against each other. Alright? Notice that this cognitive functions test is best seen on a large screen. Don't worry about it, I'm using the large monitor for this. Well, let's start with the first question. When making a decision, I mostly rely on facts and experiences that prove my point. Own explanation and theories to prove my point. Honestly, I am a very logical person, in my opinion, so I prefer facts and experience over own explanations and theories. I find it easier to understand something by further explanations. I'm not good at reading between the lines and filling the gaps of missing information, or being given the data and following my own conclusions and observations based on what I already know. I'm more of this type. I usually tend to give a personal meaning to something I experience, in my own explanation to something I observe. Depends. I will leave this one in the middle because there are things that I want to understand in first sight, and there are things that I probably have seen or watched elsewhere in internet or social media, that stuff, and of course I could know what it is, but I will leave it like this in the middle. I find it hard to openly express my inner self. I become overly critical to stress, assert my own needs. I overanalyze things under stress. I have a little hard time expressing my inner self, but just a little. I tend to explore existential reflections with a personal approach or with a personal approach. Personal, definitely. My perception of reality is constantly changing and evolving. Fixed until my knowledge is about it is upgraded. I won't say my ideology is constantly evolving. I am a person with strong ideas and values defined. I tend to add new knowledge to my understanding by applying general principles to existing data or unconsciously completing most I tend to lose cognition of time and space by speculating on what's possible instead of focusing on what's real. Be absorbed be absorbed in a stream of sensory perceptions. I tend to lose cognition just a little bit. Probably here. I tend to explore the wider meaning behind the actual reality that is in front of me, leading to inner reflections or the many possibilities offered by the world and how I can relate them to my experience. I'd say this one. I am more tempted to accept the theory if it's backed up by a concrete proof. It makes logical sense to me personally. Hell no, this one. If something is totally backed up, you can believe it. Sometimes logical can be stronger than a proof, but usually with evidence, I find hard to believe something that lacks backup. For example, if I tell you that I don't know, the the mousepad I'm using is black, but it's not completely black. It has some wool and some extra down and stuff like that. Well, if you can back that up, I will believe it. Probably that analogy was not the best example of this, but let's continue. Forgive me if I start ranting and saying nonsense. You know me how I am. Doing reasoning, I usually come to my own conclusions sequentially, analyzing, classifying, abstracting similarities and differences. Then I test them to see if they apply to the situation. Or I naturally come to the conclusion first based on the available data and verify results. I don't know what to answer. Yeah, like this. Well, maybe a little. Yeah, that's the way. When making a choice, I won't compromise my own integrity. Never compromise your integrity, boys and girls. I had a general experience. I tend to appreciate it as it is. Objectively. When I finish my work and present it to others, I tend to appreciate others' people recognition. And I might feel bad if it doesn't match my expectations or the objective quality of my work. And I might distrust judgment if it is based on subjective criteria. I'd say this because, of course, I care about the acceptation of my work, even if these videos lack edition and that stuff. I generally care about them. Just that I don't have the time and the resources to do proper editing, because honestly, this computer it's hella tricky. I could try in my phone, but editing videos in the phone it's extremely annoying, mainly for the size and precision of the use of timelines. But may sound like excuse, but I can't really do things focused if I am not comfortable. Particularly a hobby like it is this channel right now. How would you describe your creative process? I strive to give shape to my own mental wanderings. I tend to draw inspiration from the little things that impress me and then transform them into something new and original. I'd say it like this. I find my greatest value in initiation of new ideas, initiation of new relationships. I am not quite a social person, not at all. My relationships are very limited, and I don't really have much to share. During a conversation, I tend to go straight to the point. I often feel myself going off topic. No, always to the point. I think that reality is what can be experienced through all five senses. Therefore, there is only one. Reality is multifaceted and goes beyond the sensory. Therefore, it is different for everyone. Yeah, I prefer fighting for a shared cause, something that will help my community or the other people near me. Paying loyal to something, ideal, person, cause, the right thing, what's closer to my own beliefs. Absolutely. I am a kind of selfish person because normally I look for my own benefit first and then I start looking for my environment surroundings. I primarily focus on a single point of view and exploiting depth, multiple points of view as I see potential in each of them. I prefer having a first idea. Well, I prefer to work first on an idea than moving to another one. First, I tend to give personal meaning to my memories. Look at my memories as they are. I look at them as they are. There is no point of giving meaning to the past if you can't learn from there and from them and after all their meaning memories at this point. How do you look back onto your personal experiences? I primarily judge personal experience in terms of a good and bad. I think that I can learn something from each personal experience, even if it is bad or painful. That's what I'm saying. In a social situation, I look for human contact and interaction. I like a peaceful, shared atmosphere. I like to enjoy the moment, have fun, and chill. Yeah. Well, it depends. For example, if I am with my friends, I absolutely look for this option. But if I am in a random environment, I definitely go like this. So I will stay here. I am driven by my inner vision of a matter, my outer devotion to a matter, absolutely inner matter. I am more prone to walk in a beaten and familiar path, be honored my own path. I'll say like this. I am fairly independent from the judgment of others. Dependent on the judgment of others. I don't really care about the critics. At least at personal level, I don't care about them. Now, about my work and that stuff, of course, it matters because it is proportional to the amount of utility and earnings you can get and receive from them. So, at personal level, I don't care about the judgment of others. When making a decision, I base my reasoning on tangible proof and facts I can take at face value, reliable data, and reasonable arguments. Yep, if I can, if the proofs are there, I can work with it. Oof, this test is going to take a while. Well, when I'm feeling creative, I'm more inspired by ideas that might appear disconnected because I like exploring all of them. Ideas that unravel my sincerity and touch you personally. When I'm feeling creative, I prefer this one. When planning something, I prefer to set a goal, then outline a general plan that will help me reach it. To stick to a plan that I already feel comfortable with, without experimenting for the sake of it, totally. When helping someone else with a problem, I try to analyze it impartially and see how its elements are connected to each other, or I focus on moral implications and how I would react if I was in the same situation. Yeah, but I'm pretty good at analyzing situations. For me, the justice happens when a situation is judged by, no, sorry, a situation is judged impersonally and impartially. Everyone should receive equal treatment in accordance with this judgment. A common ground this is a scam in my opinion. When brainstorming, I prefer to explore alternatives without worrying about changing directions if I find a more interesting one or I focus on a single directions. Sorry. I focus on a single direction, being conscious of alternatives but letting them align to my original intention. I'd say it like this. What's on the surface hides a deeper meaning to be discovered, often includes small details most might miss. This is a deep question. It is indeed a deep question. Maybe because it's in English and my first language is Spanish, I'm not fully getting the depth of this question. So I will leave it like that. My observation goes from the particular to the general, expanding in various directions, or from my right, me rights. I don't know how this is this word pronounced. Sorry about that. Of possibilities to a fixed point where the various directions converge. I'd say like this. I mean, I know this. I don't know how to pronounce this word, but I know it means multiple ways. It's like an endless amount of possibilities. other situations based in the choice you made or you skipped. I have the general idea about it. My personal values come from inside, then I eventually relate them to the external world. Objective and interpersonal standards that acquire a special meaning to me. Yeah, I can say this because not every universal standard it's worth to be taken in count. When making a collective decision, I prioritize logical arguments over collective consensus, or collective consensus over my logical arguments. I feel comfortable with unit experience. Mental abstraction is another way of procrastinating. Oh, I don't know to mention it. Procrastination. Well, in Spanish is procrastinar. Procrastinar. And I'm not that type of person. Well, at least that's the way I watch this because the times I have letting my mind flow and stuff like that, I end up wasting a lot of time. Sorry, I was yawning. I'm really sleepy. It's 1:51 a.m. and we are almost at the middle of test. So when helping someone, I try to offer practical solutions, believing it's the best way to help or put myself in the other people's shoes. I have a terrible empathy, but some friends ask for my tips when they are in a rough situation, mainly because I want to think that I can analyze problems and offer solutions quicker than other persons. But even if I can offer solutions, I actually recognize that they don't apply for everyone because everyone thinks and sees things differently. So I leave it like that because honestly I consider that my emotional intelligence is absolutely poor. What's close to your way of developing ideas? Everything is open to new interpretations. I prefer to stick to a fixed point and eventually start from it. Here it's right. Everything, of course, everything is open, but I am very conservative with my own ideas. Also, during a discussion, I tend to set aside personal preferences to meet other points of view or say what I think regardless of others' points of view. Listen, in a discussion, uh, you can't put yourself above the person you are discussing because that ends always in fights. So it depends, but given my behavior, I tend to speak, but I also have some patience. I feel more inspired by what's closer to my way of seeing reality, unusual and new ideas. Focusing on the same things over and over again is boring. No. I mean, I just say that everything is open, but inspired by having things closer to my ways of seeing reality. During brainstorming, you naturally think about things that fit into your mental framework and are connected to one another. You can easily think about random things that can be or cannot be connected to another one. And yeah, to say this, reality is made of symbols and patterns that be found there. Now this sounds like a very abstract definition, but no, everything, in my opinion, has a structure and properties. My interests are very selective and personal. Totally. When debating, my points are more focused on the human side of the issue. I make connection between topics and how they prove my point. Yeah, in a debate you have to prove your point. That's the point of a debate. Doing problem solving, I prefer to solve conflicts, keeping things running smoothly. Focus on closure, being neglectful about trivial aspects of the issue. Absolutely, the amount of problems you can solve by ignoring things that are not worth taking in account. It's amazing. Well, it's amazing the amount of problems you save from thinking for neglecting trivial aspects. Sorry, I got a little bit tangled there. When making a choice, I have more difficulty with pondering long-term consequences, taking into account personal factors. Yeah, I'm a person I care a lot about consequences. What's your attitude towards new and untested experiences? I'm eager to try without knowing what to expect. I am skeptical to all those who seem to not lead anywhere. I prefer to do them only if they have a valuable reason. No, I actually like trying new stuff. I'm so sleepy right now. Things in the real world are determined by their appearance, shape and texture, structure properties, and functioning. This is a mere point, honestly. I tend to learn things deductively, applying already known concepts to the new ones, inductively, seeing the general principle behind specific consequences. I can learn in both ways. I'm already down. I'm so sleepy, but we have to finish this. When reasoning, I tend to focus on theory and data analysis that might lead to a convincing explanation or what I can experience with senses and direct observation. I'd say like this. My attention is directed towards the community and the human environment I belong to. When solving a practical problem, I look into my own experience. If I have already been in a similar situation, a potential solution can be found there. I apply my own analysis to the current situation and try to find a workable solution based on my understanding of the problem. Sorry, again. Yep, this might be right. I tend to get emotional more for sensibility, something that brings back a pleasant moment. No, when I get emotional, it's because something strong where it should not have done. You are more oriented towards the inner world of memories. No, not fully. Interacting with people, knowing about their experiences. Oh, I'm so sleepy. I will go a little faster now. I love how to know about others' people's perspective because of pure curiosity. I am always interested in knowing different points of view. I want to put them at ease in some way, let them walk or went or bend if they need to. Human emotions and feelings are archetypal and can reveal a deeper truth about the human condition. Are universal in the same way? Are universal and the same for every person, even those who tend to hide them? No, I think this something is true because it's backed up by data, demonstrations, or reliable sources. Totally. When experiencing something, I give more importance to the impression it leaves on me. Yes. When making a decision, I trust my own insight. I care about the impact it might have on other people as advice. I believe myself. My aesthetic taste is more impressed by what represents me and my inner world, or what looks beautiful or pleasant to my senses, regardless of any standard. Truth is, this is deep, multifaceted, multiple perspectives of reality exist at the same time. Single-factor truth is defined by objective and universal principles. This is wow. This is really deep, and I don't really know how to answer that. I think it's more satisfying to focus on the development of ideas, focus on enjoyable activities. Alright, I usually tend to accept or reject something based on objective facts, or accept or reject something based on how I feel about it. I say like this. In order to get energized, I need both. Honestly, I need both. I often tend to explore my inner self, explore new perspectives. Like this. My inner world is full of passion and emotion. No, totally. Well, not totally, but I actually care about my emotions. I'm not a robot at the end of the day. My inner world is populated by images that I can often hardly explain, revolving about my own values and preferences. It's the core of what I am, what I feel. When talking with someone else, I might happen to recall similar experiences that I lived through. I compare my opinions to those of the other person and might try to find a common ground, not much. Well, this is an almost absolute answer. when I decide whatever, whatever something is morally right or wrong, based on the emotional impact it has on the others, with an unbiased approach, based on its due consequences. Well, moral is a social construct. So in this case, I'd say I empathize with others by recognizing my experiences in those of others or spontaneously regarding my past experiences. I'd say like this. I, I tend to empathize when someone has lived stuff like I have lived. I am more concerned about how my inner values fit into the world, how I fit into the world. Yep, I absolutely wonder that. My understanding of concepts is focusing on specific aspects of the topic, holistic and not always structured. I tend to have an impressionistic memory of events, a detailed memory of events. I have a memory that is absolutely scary. How would you describe your perception of things? I see patterns recurring in the physical environment and use my senses to recognize and connect them. I recognize fixed patterns in actions and events based on repeating experiences of time. Alright, we are almost done. I might appear cold in emotional display, less sensitive about other people's feelings. I'm totally like this. Those who know me in person or have spent enough time with me know that I am, well, I'm not cold, but I'm numb in terms of emotional displays. When having random ideas, I don't really care whether they are workable or not as long as they are interesting. Not really. During extreme stress, I, I get pessimistic. During reasoning, I trust. I tend to grow. I need to trust my own instinct. Not much because proofs are very important. But at the end of the day, to take a choice, you have to think and make a reflection about your mental framework and that kind of stuff. I relate more to willing to give up my own happiness if it's no. I already have lived a lot of shit to do that. Rich, I am 25. I'm male. I don't know. Alright, speech test. Alright, let's do this. Yeah, this the first time I did this test, this was actually really low. Well, I'd say I am this type of personality. And, well, this is my results. this is it for this video. Thank you for watching and stay in this video to try to know me better. When we reach 500 subscribers, I will do a question and answers video or some sort of dynamic like that. So, see you later.